In the heart of Ogige village, nestled between lush green hills and the flowing Omo River, the Okoye family lived a peaceful life. The village was a place where the earth was rich with blessings, and the people lived by the sacred traditions passed down through generations. The air was always filled with the sound of laughter, the rhythm of drums during festivals, and the stories told by the elders under the old baobab tree. Chude Okoye was a respected farmer known for his hard work and dedication. His wife, Nina, was a skilled weaver, creating beautiful fabrics that were admired far and wide. They were blessed with three children: Izunna, the firstborn, who was as diligent as his father; Didi, a bright and lively girl who always had a song on her lips; and Chidi, the youngest, full of energy and curiosity. Life was simple, but in Ogige, simplicity was cherished. The villagers were bound by their customs, especially the prohibition of dark rituals. The sacred laws had protected the land for as long as anyone could remember, and no one dared to challenge them. Despite the peace and contentment in their lives, a dark seed began to grow in the hearts of Chude and Nina. It started as a whisper, a fleeting thought, but soon it became a relentless hunger. They began to envy those in the neighboring villages who flaunted their wealth, men who wore gold around their necks, women who adorned themselves in the finest silks, and families who commanded respect with their riches. One evening, as the sun set and the village prepared for the night, Chude sat in his compound, watching the smoke rise from his neighbors' cooking fires. "Why should others prosper while we remain humble farmers?" he muttered to himself. Nina, overhearing his words, felt a twinge of agreement. The desire for more began to consume them both, like a fire that could not be quenched. They spoke in hushed tones about the riches they could have, the respect they could command. The idea of seeking wealth through dark means, though forbidden, became less threatening with each passing day. Greed had taken root in their heart. One day, as they discussed their growing desire, a trusted friend of Chude's, named Okafor, visited them. Okafor was known for his connections in other villages and his knowledge of things better left unspoken. Over a meal, Chude and Nina hesitated but eventually confided in Okafor about their desires. The chief priest of Ogige would never perform a money ritual, Okafor said gravely. Our villagers' laws are too sacred, and the consequences would be severe. But, he paused, lowering his voice, there is a place in the neighboring village, a shrine where anything is possible for the right price. Chude and Nina listened intently as Okafor told them of the Amadon shrine, a place shrouded in mystery and fear. The thought of performing such a ritual filled them with dread, but the law of wealth was too strong to resist. That night, as they lay in bed, Chude turned to Nina. "We could be rich beyond our wildest dreams," he whispered. Nina, her heart pounding, nodded in agreement. They would go to the shrine no matter the cost. Days passed, and Chude and Nina wrestled with their decision. They knew they would have to deceive their son, Izuna, to achieve their goal. The thought of sacrificing their firstborn gnawed at them, but their greed had clouded their judgment. One morning, Chude approached Izuna with a forced smile. "My son," he said, "your mother and I need to travel to Amadon to buy something special for our family. We want you to come with us. It will be a good experience for you." Izuna, who had always trusted his parents, agreed without hesitation. He did not notice the unease in their voices or the worry in their eyes. As they prepared for the journey, Didi and Chidi played nearby, unaware of the dark plans they were unfolding. The journey to Amadon was long and filled with an uneasy silence. The roads were dusty, and the sun beat down on them mercilessly. Izuna walked beside his parents, unaware of the darkness that awaited him. He felt a strange heaviness in the air as they approached the shrine, but he remained silent, trusting his parents as he always had. The shrine of Amadon was a foreboding place, hidden deep within the forest. As they entered, the trees seemed to close in around them, blocking out the light. The air was thick with the smell of decay and something else, something ancient and powerful. The chief priest, an old man with eyes that seemed to pierce the soul, greeted them with a knowing smile. "I know what you seek," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "But you know this? The ritual you desire requires a great sacrifice. The blood of the innocent is not to be spilled without dire consequences." Trude and Nina hesitated, their resolve wavering for a moment. But the promise of wealth was too strong. They nodded, and the priest began to prepare the ritual. Izuna, sensing something was wrong, looked at his parents with confusion. Before he could speak, the priest grabbed him. The next moments were a blur, a flash of a knife, the sound of Izuna's cry, and the splash of blood on the cold stone floor. The ritual was complete, and Izuna's lifeless body lay before them. Jude and Nina left the shrine with a charm drenched in their son's blood. The priest had instructed them to bury it in front of their compound so that the blood would sink into the soil, binding the wealth to their land. When they returned to Ogige, they spread a lie to the villagers, saying that Izuna had drowned in a river and his body was swept away by the current. The villagers, filled with pity, mourned with the Okoye family, offering condolences for their loss. No one suspected the truth. That night, under the cover of darkness, Chude and Nina buried the charm in front of their compound, sealing their fate. As they stood over the freshly turned earth, a chill ran through them, but they pushed the feeling aside. Wealth was coming, and that was all that mattered. Soon after, their wealth began to grow. Their fields, once modest, now flourished with an abundance of crops. Their animals multiplied, and Chude became a successful trader. He began selling goods to neighboring villages, and his name spread far and wide. People spoke of their sudden prosperity, admiring his success and seeking his advice. With wealth came power. Jude's newfound riches brought him close to the king, and he became a respected man in the village. However, with wealth also came arrogance. Jude and Nina forgot the warning of the priest and the memory of their son's sacrifice faded in the background as they reveled in their fortune. But as their wealth grew, so did the cracks in their marriage. Chude, once a loving husband, became distant. He was drawn to other women, spending less and less time at home. Nina, feeling abandoned and bitter, found solace in the arms of another man. Ade, their home, once filled with laughter, was now cold and silent. One day, Jude announced to Nina that he planned to take another wife. I have found a woman who will bring even more prosperity to our home, he said coldly. She comes from a wealthy family and I want to marry her soon. Nina was furious. Over my dead body will another woman share the wealth from the sacrifice of my son, she screamed. But Jude was unmoved. The ritual that had bound them together now threatened to tear them apart. Consumed with rage and desperation, Nina plotted to kill Jude. She would rather see him dead than allow another woman to take her place. She secretly prepared a potion, intending to poison him. One night, as Jude sat down to eat, Nina served him the poisoned food. As he ate, she watched, her heart pounding. Soon, Jude began to feel the effect of the poison. He gasped for breath, clutching his chest as the life drained from his body. Nina began to wail loudly, summoning the villagers with cries of grief. People, come quickly! My husband is dead! What will I do? She cried. The villagers rushed to her side, finding Judy lifeless on the floor. They mourned the loss of a man they believed to be great, unaware of the dark deeds that had led to his death. But as the days passed, King Obi, a close friend of Judy, began to notice something strange. Nina didn't mourn as a widow should. She moved about the village as if nothing had happened, and rumors began to spread that she was seen with another man. King Obi, as the custodian of the village's traditions, knew something was wrong. Determined to uncover the truth, he decided to seek answers in Kisa Forest, where the spirits of the dead were said to linger. He traveled with two of his most trusted advisors to Kisa Forest, a place feared by all but the bravest. The forest was dense, the trees twisted and gnarled as if they had absorbed the pain of the souls trapped within. Deep within the forest lived Agadiwine, an old woman known to commune with the spirits. King Obi approached her with offerings of kola nuts and palm wine, seeking her wisdom. Great mother, he said, bowing low, I come to you with a heavy heart. A good man, Chude Okoye, is dead, and I fear foul play. Please, reveal to me the truth so that justice may be done. Agadiwine accepted the offerings and began her rituals. She chanted ancient words, calling upon the spirits of the forest. The air grew thick with energy, and soon the truth was revealed. Agadiwine's voice echoed through the forest as she spoke. The blood of the innocent cries out for justice. Chude and Nina Okoye have committed a great sin. They sacrificed their son, Izuna, for wealth, and now their greed has consumed them. Nina's hands are stained with her husband's blood, and the gods demand retribution. King Obi was horrified by the revelation. He had suspected that something was amiss, but the truth was more terrible than he could have imagined. He knew that the gods would not rest until justice was served. He returned to the village and called an emergency council meeting. The elders, the chief priest, and the villagers gathered in the king's courtyard. King Obi stood before them, his face grim. "The spirit of the forest have spoken," he announced. "Chude and Nina Okoye have committed an unforgivable sin. They sacrificed their son for wealth, and Nina has murdered her husband. The gods demand justice, and we must act." The villagers were stunned by the revelation. Murmurs of disbelief and anger spread through the crowd. "We must punish them," one elder shouted. "The blood of the innocent must be avenged." The chief priest stepped forward, holding his staff of office. "We must consult the gods and perform the necessary rites to cleanse our village of this evil," he said. "Only then can peace return to Ogige." Nina, realizing that her secret was out, tried to flee, but the villagers caught her. She was dragged before the king, her face pale with fear. "You cannot escape the judgment of the gods," King Obi said sternly. "You have brought this upon yourself." Nina was taken to the sacred grove where the chief priest performed the rituals to appease the gods. She was banished from the village, condemned to wander the land as an outcast, carrying the weight of her sins. The villagers, still shaken by the event, returned to their homes. The wealth that Trude and Nina had amassed was distributed among the poor, and the village returned to its humble ways, reminded of the dangers of greed. As Nina walked through the forest, her mind filled with regret. She thought of Izuna, of the life he could have lived, and of the family she had destroyed. The weight of her actions crushed her, and she knew that she could never undo what she had done. But as she walked, she began to hear a voice in the wind, whispering a truth she could not deny. Greed is a river that drowns those who drink too deeply. The words echoed in her mind, a cruel reminder of her fate. The river of greed had consumed her, and now she was lost, forever wandering, a ghost of the woman she once was. Back in the village, King Obi sat under the baobab tree, surrounded by the elders. He reflected on the tragedy that had befallen the Okoye family and the lessons they are all learned. "Let this be a lesson to us all," he said, his voice steady. "When a man's eyes grow bigger than his heart, he will fill his hands with sorrow." The elders nodded in agreement, repeating the words of the king. The villagers would remember this proverb, passing it down to their children and their children's children, so that the tragedy of the Okoye family would never be forgotten. And so, the story of Chude and Nina Okoye became a cautionary tale in Ogige village, a reminder that wealth gained through evil means will only bring ruin and despair. The village returned to its simple, peaceful ways, content with what they had, and the memory of Izuna's sacrifice lived on in the hearts of the people. The story of the Okoye family teaches that greed and pursuit of wealth through unethical means lead only to tragedy. True prosperity is found in contentment, integrity, and respect for tradition. Betraying family and moral values for temporary gain ultimately result in lasting sorrow and loss. Thank you for watching and visiting African Tale Studio. If you enjoyed our African stories, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notification so you never miss a new tale. We'd love to hear what you think. So please like, comment, and share your thoughts with us. Your feedback helps us create even better stories. And don't keep these stories to yourself. Share the video with your friends and family so they can join in on the journey too. Your support means the world to us. Let's continue to share the beauty of African storytelling together.